Thanks to the support as a channel member, Harvey2478. Well, folks, this is the second and last summer transfer window where I have to be more afraid than I am excited. I love a transfer window, not so much when we're under a transfer embargo and need to generate loads of money to balance the books. It's more a case of who's still going to be left for us to attack League One next season, as opposed to who are we going to sign. Well, theoretically, we could sign some. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's about to happen. Transfer window. And welcome to part 12 of Saving Man City. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, it is our season review and transfer special. Off the back of a season where, as you can see, we've picked up a trophy again. We are the champions of League Two. So let's do our season review. I don't know how we've got anybody classed as new arrivals. Oh, they're not. These are all the players who've left. So when you have no players coming in, it shows you the players who've left, apparently, on this screen. See, we're learning things as part of this save. The media were expecting us, the board were expecting us to gain automatic promotion to League One. We did, finishing first, comfortably winning the league. Once again, maxing out Gig Lane. It'll be interesting what happens around our stadium, because as we move up the leagues, Gig Lane's not going to be big enough, and it's already not big enough for our fan base. But obviously, we have no money to build a new stadium. Are the club bonkers enough to take out a loan to build us a new stadium, even though we're still paying off over £1 billion worth of loans? I'd do it if I was in charge, but that's probably why I'm not in charge. Money-wise, we have still got our big chunk of sponsorship money that comes in. That's actually just arrived. So when you see the club's bank balance in a moment, these two big figures have just arrived in the club. So we're actually looking like we've got a balance of about 100 million currently, but it's because these two come in one go on the same day, pretty much, rather than being spread out over the season, whereas all the loan repayments and stuff are spread out over the season. But right now, as of today, our financial situation is looking pretty healthy. This was our team of the year: Trafford in goal, a back four of Wilson, Esbrand, Mbete, Doyle, Aguilar, Tuther, Doyle, Fiorini and Taylor, and then Hamilton on the left, Knight on the right, Delap up front. It is worth noting, both Doyles and Delap have already left the club, so they're definitely not going to be here. Aguilar, we're definitely going to be trying to get rid of, and then we need to find some more players to sell to balance the books as well. So although that was our best team this year, it's not likely to be the best team going forward. Ben Knight is one player of the year. Clive Aguilar wins young player of the year. Am I being too harsh on this boy? He's actually not a terrible footballer, but he's on 25 grand a week. So on that basis, I have to dislike him and try and get rid of him. I can't learn to love him because we can't afford to keep him around. But it seems like the fans are fond of him. Oscar Bob got goal of the season. Remember Oscar Bob? Oh, I miss Oscar Bob. Liam Delap finishing top goal scorer. Obviously, he's now left. He won't be here next season to do that again. Ben Knight, who was the player of the year, most assists as well. And then Delap wins most of everything else. So Delap winning the award for most man of the matches. Wilson Esbrand is the naughtiest boy in the history of Manchester City. That doesn't seem right. But we'll have a look at look at that. Look how dynamic that timeline is. It's lovely. And this is how the club situation sits right now. Like I say, £99 million in the bank currently. Don't read too much into it. The projection is still disastrous. The club finances, to be fair, we've paid off about a third of the debt at this point. And we started with £1.6 billion worth of debt. So £550 million has been paid off in the last 2 years, which is no mean feat as we continue to move up the leagues. We have just had an investment from our board as well. So we had £80 million in sponsorship. We had a £28 million investment from the board, and we've had some player transfer clauses come in. I actually don't think we've had a Premier League solidarity payment yet. I don't know if we get one this year. How many years do you get that for? That might be that we don't get that this year. But I mean, the bank balance looks fine for now. Obviously, we're going to not spend the transfer budget and try and reduce the wage budget as far as possible. And the plan for the summer is very much get rid of Aguilar, because he's the only player at the club on more than £10,000 a week. We are implementing a limit of £10,000 for any player. So no one at the moment, certainly while we're under transfer embargo, no one is going to get a new contract that takes them beyond that. we can't sign players. The terms of the transfer embargo are that we can't sign players for over 10,000, or I think we can bring players in on the one in, one out, because we've hardly got any established players. It's not actually anything that seems to be recorded anywhere, so I don't know how many signings we can make, but I think we can do some transfers if we feel like we need to do some transfers. I'm not sure that we do. Part of me wants to see how the League One season starts, which we will have the opportunity to do because obviously the season starts before the transfer window ends. But on the face of it, it's still a pretty strong squad. There are obvious gaps, but if Aguilar stays, and no one else seems to want to pay his salary, so if Aguilar stays, we've got a good first choice back four with some good youngsters ready to push through. In midfield, Fiorini, Taylor, Hamilton are all very good. Ben, I mean, our big weakness is probably up front. If we go with Ben Knight as a striker, we don't really have a right winger. If we go with Ben Knight as a right winger, we don't really have a striker. So we're a little bit weak in the attack. It would be quite nice to bring someone in who could play up there for us. And even if we push on and look at the further seasons ahead, there's not anyone who really looks like they're going to emerge as a centre forward either. If we have a look in the dev centre to see what we've got in the way of strikers, the closest we've got is Tai Soji, who is 20 years old, has only got 1.5 stars of current ability, and we've never used him. So he's probably not going to be the answer. But there's just nobody else. Ones to watch. I mean, this guy, maybe. This guy, he's 15. He might end up being great. 6 foot tall, and with 14 acceleration and pace at 15 years old, he's probably going to be great. He's obviously not ready yet, though. The striker is a problem that we obviously need to deal with. But at the same time, we need to continue working towards paying off the debt and balancing the books. So Aguilar's got to go. And then if we look at the players who can bring in the most money for us, so these are the ones we're likely to maybe be willing to sell. I think we probably draw the line above Josh Adam. There's no point selling Josh Adam for £1 million. But if we can get 4 to 5 million for Wilson as brand, 5 to 10 million for Kane Taylor, Micah Hamilton, Thomas Galvez, Luke Mbete, those 5 really, if we can get towards the top end of their transfer values, all 5 of them could be out the door along with Aguilar. And then if we sort this by who our best players are, well, what do you know? There's not going to be much left if everybody who could and should go does go. You're kind of left with a core of James Trafford, Lewis Fiorini, Will Dixon, and then a lot of youngsters we've not really used very much. It's going to be tough. I'm going to be really interested to see what the media think about our chances in League One in this coming season. I don't think we are going to be favourites to just run over the league again and do a 3rd successive promotion. I think this is the season where this save starts to get really, really hard. In the meantime, let's try and sell a load of good players. I'll be back when I've sold some. I realise doing stuff like this is very much robbing our future selves, and we'd actually get more money if we held out a little bit longer. But you know what? We need the money now. We'll let future Kev and future Manchester City worry about this, because we've just managed to pick up £10 million for Gabriel Jesus, £4 million for Rico Lewis, nearly £6 million for Zinchenko. Which just tops us back up again. We want to just drag in as much money as we possibly can, as often as we can from selling these clauses, and we'll worry about it later. We need the money now. We're trying to accumulate a war chest that will stop us going into administration in this coming season. That's all we ever have. That goal to keep us out of administration for now. We'll worry about the future when we get there. So yeah, we've just had another £20 million come in from selling clauses, and we'll keep doing it, and we will always do it because we need the money. Right, we got a little bit of parachute payment. It's half the size of the one from the year before. I guess that's how the parachute payments work. So again, that just tucks us back up over 100 million again, and I think we've still got. Hold on, we've got another clause we can sell there. Yeah, we'll have another £2 million off of Southampton, please. I think we've still got instalments due in July and August for various players. I'm trying to find a big player who's likely to have big clauses attached to them. Phil Foden, no. We are running out of these now. So, like, yeah, we've got... Okay, that installment's been paid. Maybe the installments have already been paid. Cole Palmer. No, see, there you go. There's one due in July. It's not a big one, but we do have... I'd quite like Bayern to win the Champions League. That'd be handy. Raheem Sterling. Oh, it's next year now. So we've actually had a bunch of these come in already. January, 11 million for Ferran Torres. Okay. Money flowing in all the time. That's the important thing. Just keep collecting money. I've had a few people question whether it's even possible for clubs to go into administration and get points deductions. I keep talking about it. It's not us, but Birmingham, who are actually in the same league as us this year, have been docked 12 points for going into administration. So that's the punishment that we might be facing when the time comes. Birmingham, 12 points for going into administration. It is now the 30th of June, so transfers are starting to go through and the league has ticked over. So our league preview has us 7th favourites to go up. So as I suspected, I think we've probably found our level. We're not expected to storm through this league. It is going to be a challenge. If you look at the Media Dream 11, we have nobody in it. Scrolling down to find our best player, it's James Trafford, and he's about halfway down this list. This is not going to be an easy... I know I keep saying it. This is not going to be an easy season. £104 million in the bank now is lovely stuff. There are a couple more transfers that have gone through. Sodja, who is out of contract at the end of the season, we've managed to squeeze out a little transfer fee. He would have been released on a free transfer tomorrow, but we've squeezed out a little transfer fee for him. It looks like we've got some more clauses we can sell. Hang on, let's get some more clauses sold. We'll have another £1 million there. We'll take another £1 million there. As long as we can... we're just trying to push this potential future administration as far into the future as we possibly can. I suspect we're not pushing it far enough, but yeah, our squad, this is our squad with loan players having left, transfers having gone through, contract expiries. In fact, he says contract expires. We've got 2 players in there whose contracts have actually expired in the shape of Josh Adam, who is leaving to join Leeds, and Cian Breckin, who's leaving to join Oxford. So let's get those 2 out of the way, get them out of the squad. So we actually have a squad of 21 players and only a few real outstanding talents. And we haven't started selling them yet. If we look in the dev center, Finley Burns goes back today. Emilio Lawrence, you need to come up into the first team. Anyone, all these 4 who are on 2.5 stars, they're coming up into the first team to make up numbers. So let's get these boys up into the first team squad. Oh, a winger. Is he a right winger? I mean, he can learn to play right wing. Having a winger coming up is very handy. So get those boys up into the first team squad. Is that Emil Heskey's kid? We've got Emil Heskey's kid. That's amazing. I didn't realise he existed. I think he's a right winger. No, he's another left winger. So we do potentially have some wingers that can come up. Reassuringly, still some players with 5-star potential as well. There is still a nice little conveyor belt of Manchester City talent knocking around this place. But our squad planner is starting to look a little thin now in places, especially if we go and sell Trafford and Bete, Fiorini. It really starts to look like an average League One squad at that point. And average League One squads don't often get promoted at the first time of asking, which is what we're trying to do. So we have now hit the 1st of July. I'm just having a look at the club vision bits and bobs. What does job security available mean? Are they firing me? Are they hiring someone for my job? Do I have a contract? I do have a contract. That's nice. So they want me to work within the wage budget, which we do. We're always well within that. Grow the club's reputation. No mention of repairing the financial... Oh, no, there's work towards repairing the club's financial damage. It's down here. I knew it would be on there somewhere. But it is interesting to see they're only looking for a top half finish in League One. The supporters want me to reach the playoffs, but the board are happy with top half, which is very interesting because I don't think any of us are going to be happy with top half. And to be fair, I think anything other than promotion could be financially disastrous for us because we need to keep moving up through the leagues to increase the value of our players that are coming through so that when we sell them, we get big fees for them so that we can clear the money. And of course, the sooner we get to the Premier League, the sooner we start getting Premier League money coming again, which makes things a whole lot easier to pay back these debts. Should we sign Aubameyang? Probably shouldn't, should we? Oh, this whole signing players thing might end up being a little bit more difficult than we'd originally anticipated, because I don't want to throw loads of money around. We thought this guy would be a good solution to the striker problem that we've now got. He's previously of Leicester, had a season on loan at Oxford in the Championship, didn't really score any goals, but he's quick, and quick is usually enough for a striker. We offered him like £5,500 a week, which I felt was fair. Lots of other clubs came in for him. He's gone to Oxford. They're paying him £7,000 a week. He'd rather go to Oxford than Manchester City. I am not going to do my normal scattergun, bringing in loads and loads and loads of young players. We've got loads and loads and loads of young players. The only players I'm really interested in bringing in are ones who make a genuine difference to the quality of our first team. He would have done. We didn't get him. You can see I've got some trials in. I'm trying to get DiMaggio Wright-Phillips, who is actually a former Manchester City youngster, released and went to Stoke. Stoke have now released him, and we're going to look to bring him back because we need a player who can play on the right wing. He's very quick and he can play on the right wing, so he would slot straight in. So again, similar idea. That's the kind of player that we're after. The rest of these trialists, not so much. We'll keep trying. We've had like 3 batches of trialists in, but I am being quite discerning about which ones we want to actually have join us here at the club. And we haven't sold anybody, mainly because our higher value players, there's no one interested in them. Wrexham want Galvez on loan. Well, that's no use to me. Unless we get a big club come in interested even for one of these players, then there's no point forcing it because we'll end up selling them cut price and upsetting them. So we kind of just have to sit and wait, which isn't ideal. I think with the balance that we've got, we can probably make it to January without major financial issues. And then we'll hopefully attract some interest and be able to sell some of them then. Maybe. Let's see if we get Wright-Phillips. And there we have it, boys and girls. Manchester City's first signing since Erling Haaland. Probably. DiMaggio Wright-Phillips has come home. He's not necessarily going to be a nailed-on starter on that right-hand side, but he does offer us a little bit of depth on that right-hand side that we didn't have previously, and that was definitely something that we needed. Micah Hamilton, Ben Knight, the only two who are really better than him in the squad, and there's a good chance Ben Knight is going to be our starting centre forward. So, yeah, Wright-Phillips is a Manchester City player once again. We've made a signing. It's been 2 years. We have signed a football boy. Like I say, not going to make a massive habit of it because I want to keep the budgets nicely balanced. But when the right player comes along at the right price and he's not costing a lot of money, and that's crucial, we will make moves where we can. And a move has been made there. 1.9k a week on a 2-year contract. Look how happy he is to be here. He is absolutely delighted. We've signed a couple more players. I'm getting good at this transfer lark now. Shane Flynn is in, not to play left back. We have loads of left backs, probably to play centre back. Although, to be fair, might end up playing left back because it allows us to sell one of the many left backs that we've got. He played all of last season on loan at Barnsley in this division. Before that, did a full season at Accrington in this division. So plenty of experience playing in League One. And then Finlay Thorndike, who I'm always going to struggle to say with my whole THs. He's off of Birmingham, where he played in the Championship 28 times for them last year. He's an attacking midfielder, brought in to just try and give us a little bit more attacking oomph. I have also discovered a thing called loans. Actually, we've got a bit of a bidding war going on at the moment for this guy, Matthew Whittingham, who we've never really used, never played him at all, although he did get 15 assists in the National League for Bromley last year. But we got an offer for 600,000 for him from somebody, I forget who, which he forced us to accept. He dug his heels in, wanted to leave. But then we've started doing the whole ramping people up 200,000 at a time thing. So we accepted 600, offered him out to 800, got an offer. So then went and declined the 600, offered him out for $1 million. someone came in for that. So we've now declined the 800,000. I've just offered him out again for 1.2 million. So we're going to try and get as much as we can for him. He's a player who doesn't want to be here, so he's definitely going to go, but we absolutely want to maximise what we get for him. But we've also discovered loans. As you can see, we're trying to bring in a number of different players on loan. We're also trying to sign this guy permanently as a solution for us to play at centre forward, Dara Costello, who is a 21-year-old Irish striker who is previously of Burnley, was on loan at Barnsley in this league last year. Actually, no, the year before last, where he didn't exactly set the league alight, but he was young, and now he's a little bit older. But if we were to get one of the strikers we're looking to loan, we potentially don't need him. We do have to be wary of staying within our budgets, our wage budget, because we've been constantly reducing our wage spend over the years. Our wage budget is now down to 247,000, which if all of those players come in, we're close to hitting. So we're not really in the business of increasing our salary spend. We're definitely not going to move money over from transfer budget into wage budget. So if we get all of these, that will be it for signings. And to be fair, I think it's probably a lot of signings, and we're not likely to do all of those. There's the offer for Whittingham for 1.2 million. So we now go in and decline $1 million. We'll offer him out again for 1.4. If you want more details on what I'm doing here, I have made a video about this on the channel before. I forget exactly what it's called. Something along the lines of maximising how much you can get for players. But it is basically as simple as what you've just seen me do there. Constantly offer them out for a little bit more. Kyle Samuel has now had an offer from West Brom. We've got no interest in selling him. Ben Knight as vice captain, I can live with. He's probably one of our best players at this point. Right, James Sweet has agreed to join us on loan. He is a complete wing-back who'd be coming on loan from Nottingham Forest. Absolutely, we bring him in. We now have a right-back, Jake Wells-Morrison. We have our Tommy Doyle replacement to sit at the base of the midfield as a deep-lying playmaker. Yeah, we absolutely bring him in as well. That's two more new boys in. We're starting to put a squad together now, everybody. There's Sweet, there's Wells-Morrison, and now Nicky Shorey has come in to be a scout. I mean, it's all very exciting at the moment, but let's have a look at what impact this has on the squad planner. We just have a look at our full squad view. And in fact, if we bring it back to the system that we're most comfortable with, you can see Jack Wells-Morrison can just sit in there. James Sweet can start at right back. I don't really want to bring anyone in unless they're going to improve the team. But I think those two signings definitely do. We're still 7th on the season preview and don't have any of the best players, though. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Really nice. And once again, we miss out on a striker. And this is really weird. Dara Costello has gone to Fleetwood. We offered him £6,000 a week to come and play for us because we're that desperate for a pacey, tall centre forward. He's exactly what I want. But he's decided to go to Fleetwood for £3,500. I guess they're in the Championship, but those of you who were speculating in the comments section a few episodes ago that as we move up the leagues, we'll have our pick of all the free transfers. We're Manchester City. We've just offered almost double the money, and he's still chosen to go to Fleetwood because they're in the Championship. So reputation isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I mean, to be fair, I imagine their reputation is higher than ours anyway, or at least equivalent. So he's just gone to go and play in the Championship. You can't really blame him. But it does mean, even with new players coming in, at the moment, we are still very much short a striker. But we have two that we're trying to bring in. I'm half tempted to bring them both in, but that's probably unnecessary. And I'm less keen on Josh Coburn. He'll involve us playing slightly differently to how we play at the moment. I'd rather have Jimmy J. Morgan, who is much quicker. Although, of course, we do have the potential to bring Morgan in and play him on one of the wings where we are very weak. He can play as an inside forward on either side and then play Coburn up front. So there is an argument for bringing them both in. The other defender on there was my second choice right back, so we definitely don't need him. This is another player we tried to sign, Thierry Neves. He's turned us down as well. Lovely old stuff. And former City player Bernardo Silva has gone to Real Madrid for £95 million. We got 850 grand for that. How? How are we only getting 850 grand there? Come along now. That seems a little low. Very sad. Right, incoming transfer business, I think, is now finished. We got Josh Coburn and Morgan. They've both come in. So Coburn probably going to be our starting centre forward, playing in that pressing forward role that Liam Delap was playing for us previously. And then Jimmy J. Morgan we'll probably use off of one of the wings, and that allows us to play them both. And he is nice and quick, and I am very excited to have him knocking around the place as well. I mean, he's doing quite the tour of English clubs there. Southampton, Chelsea, then Man City over the course of his 3 years of career. We ended up getting 1.2 million for Matthew Whittingham in the end. So he has moved on to Huddersfield without ever playing a game for us. And after all of our transfers are complete, certainly incoming, we've got a balance of over 100 million. And we're well under our wage budget. So I'm pretty happy now that this is a squad that can have a good crack, at the very least, getting into the playoffs. The playoffs is what the board are looking for, I think. Top half finish. The fans are looking for the playoffs. Do those striker signings make a difference? They move us up to sixth favourites. Morgan is the one Manchester City player who makes it into the media dream 11, Jimmy J. Morgan. So fingers crossed he will be, I mean, he might even end up playing as our striker and being our Liam Delap 30-goal a season striker replacement. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? He is the best player in League One. We've brought in the best player in League One, everybody. Let's hope he ends up awesome and allows us to push on for that playoff spot that we are aiming for. The plan now is maximise any transfer offers that come in, because that is still worrying. I think, like I said before, we probably have got enough money to tide us over until January, so it's not urgent that we try and force anybody out the door. If it's the likes of Betty or Galvez or Taylor have particularly good first halves of the season, I think we're more likely to get more for them in January. So I'm happy to wait. And what we probably need to do is move some of these boys back down into the under-21s. With these signings coming in, we've got a pretty bloated 30-man first team squad. So we can move a few boys back down there. And then I think we're ready to attack the new season. And that brings us to the end of the... well, it's not the end of the transfer window. We've got 3 weeks left, so we might still sell someone. But assuming we don't, this is the team we're going with, at least initially. We're going back to the 4-3-3, because if you look at last season, we were much more solid with the 4-3-3 results-wise. All of the defeats came once we switched to the 4-2-3-1, apart from that one against Manchester United. But you could also argue the defeats came after we sold Tommy Doyle. But I'm going to assume it was the change in system and not losing Doyle that was the big problem. So we'll switch back to Shay Charles there initially, because it's a little bit harsh for him to lose his place completely. But Wells Morrison is going to be ready to step in and take that role before too long at the base of the midfield. That aside, it'll be nice to have two proper fullbacks in the team again, in Flynn and Sweet, and having Wright Phillips as a proper winger. Dixon can move out onto the wing as a winger. We've obviously got Knight, who can play out wide as well if need be. We're going to start with Morgan up top, just because I think the idea of his pace seems very exciting, but Coburn can come on and we can push Morgan out wide. Just with those few signings, it all of a sudden looks like a much, much stronger squad. And I think we've got a pretty good chance now of making those playoffs. I mean, the media kind of agree as well. We'll see how tomorrow goes. We're going to learn a lot tomorrow. We kick the season off in tomorrow's episode with a match against Cambridge. And then it'll be really interesting when we play Huddersfield, because when we've played championship teams previously, we've been as good as them. It'll be interesting if, having sold so many players now, are we still as good as the likes of Huddersfield now? Or even if we do manage to pull off another promotion this year, is next year going to be the time when everything catches up with us? If we'd have had our squad from season 1 in the championship, we'd have won it. It would have been fine. Less so with this squad. So tomorrow is all about learning, but that is a team I'm much more confident in than I thought I would be when I started recording this video. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.